Miguna Miguna has had a bad week. Last Thursday, we told you about the Kenyan-Canadian opposition activist's ordeal at Nairobi's International Airport. He tried to enter the country as a Kenyan citizen. He was turned away. He ended up being beaten, drugged, and deported to Dubai. It marked the second time this year that Mr. Miguna had been kicked out of Kenya. Last February, officials deported him, accusing him of treason for taking part in a mock swearing-in ceremony for opposition leader Raila Odinga. This week, Mr. Miguna is back in Canada for medical tests. We reached him at his family home in Richmond Hill, Ontario.
Mr. Miguna, how are you feeling today, physically and emotionally?
Tired, exhausted, and sick.
You've had quite a week, and actually since last we talked, you've been on quite a ride. You traveled to Nairobi last week, you were denied entry, and we know that you were in an airport bathroom, barricaded in for 72 hours until the police broke down the door. Tell us about where you were. Tell the conditions in which you spent that week.
The conditions were horrible. They kidnapped me and took me to the toilet, where they kept me until the day they sedated me and took me out unconscious.
And how did they sedate you? What did they do?
I was in the room alone. They had refused to allow the Consular General from Canada to come and see me in the morning. So I had locked the door from inside. They then started breaking the door. And they came in, grabbed me, put me to the ground, got a command, go for the veins, go for the veins. And they started injecting me on the arms and also the soles of my feet. I cried out, but of course, after some time, I passed out.
And sorry, what were they injecting into your veins? Do you know?
How would I know?
But you lost consciousness, I think.
I lost consciousness. I woke up in Dubai.
And so they put you on a plane unconscious.
Unconscious.
And you ended up in Dubai. And
I didn't know where I was, so I asked them, where are we? They told me it is Dubai. So I knew, because I remember them injecting me. I stood up. I tried to pick up my bag, but I couldn't. I was too weak. So they picked the bag. They took me to the immigration area of the airport. I told them I needed medical attention. They took me to the emergency clinic, but they couldn't do toxicology tests because they are limited.
But you're again back in Canada. This is the second time we've spoken to you, and Kenya has forced you to be back here. Why keep trying? I mean, they clearly are going to keep attempting to prevent you from coming into the country.
Asking everybody who has fought for freedom, why not just surrender? Because you shouldn't. Because you shouldn't surrender to oppression. You shouldn't surrender to people who are not following the rule of law, people who are ruling by the gun, people who want to subject everybody to oppression. It is not right.
In Kenya, they're saying that you are undocumented, unestablished passenger, that it was a technicality, and for technical reasons, for your paperwork wasn't in order. That's why you couldn't come in. It's got nothing to do with your politics or what you're trying to do. What do you say to them?
That's just rubbish, because the matter went to court, and the court ruled that they should release me immediately. So which one should people obey?
You know that BBC has reported that you have become probably the best-known political figure in Kenya right now, that everybody is talking in the country about you. And people are also very frustrated with Raila Odinga, and he seems to be making compromises with Uhuru Kenyatta, and people are unhappy about that. Do you want to go back to Kenya to play a larger role on the political stage than you did in the past?
That is why I was going back on the 26th. We formed a movement, which I had, called the National Resistance Movement. We've now changed the name to the National Revolutionary Movement. It is a movement that is supported by millions of Kenyans, and it is that movement and myself that they fear. Because if it was about swearing Raila in, it was not just me. Raila himself was there, and many others. But they are picked on me because they know the potential, and they're afraid that if I went back and organized and led the NRM, they would probably lose power. So this is desperation. And if people have decided that any one of us would end up leading Kenya, then so be it. But it cannot be a clique, a small minority, choosing that for Kenya.
But in their efforts to silence you, to get rid of you, to have you not in the country, you have become probably the loudest voice in Kenya right now. Can you see why they would even more want to prevent you from returning now that's called the National Revolutionary Movement, that you have this powerful voice, this response in the country, that they really don't want you to show up?
At some point, we have to make a choice. Is Kenya democracy or a despotic state? And if Kenya is a democracy, and if stability and peace means that the government would have to be a popular government elected by the people, then they have no option but to allow me to go back. Because how then do you prevent a Kenyan-born citizen from going back to his native land?
When you were going through your week from hell and going from Kenya to Dubai, we spoke with your wife, with your family. They were very, very worried about you, about your safety. Do you share their concerns that your life might be in danger now?
Yes, of course I do. I mean, this is not a Japanese suicide mission. This is a very well thought out, responsible, calculated, and strategic action. I did not start this struggle yesterday or a decade ago. I came to Canada precisely as a result of this struggle. I was in the struggle in 1987 before I was married, before I had children. So you can understand why I'm very passionate about this. I decided that I was not going to be a statistic in Kenya, spectator in unfolding political events. So, yes, risks have to be taken.
Mr. Miguna, I hope you remain safe, and I'm glad to speak with you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Miguna Miguna is a Kenyan-Canadian opposition activist who was recently deported, again, from Kenya. We reached him at his home in Richmond Hill, Ontario.